so I'm going to bring to order the meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission on March 20th, 2024. It is 5:30 p.m. and let's go ahead and start roll call.
Okay. Carlos?
Here.
Elizabeth?
Here.
Derek?
Here.
Chris?
Here.
All right.
All right. Public comments. We don't have anybody online, so I don't think we have any.
Should we give him 5 minutes to walk up here?
Approval of minutes for February 14th, 2024. I don't know if.
I sent those
Oh,
to
you
you.
did send it to me. Yeah, and I looked at it over and I had everything that I saw.
Okay.
So, unless, did you guys need to view the minutes before we approve them or anything?
If you want me to, I can start setting them down with you. Is that what you prefer?
Yeah, I think so, so that we can all be in
Yeah.
agreement of what
Okay.
the minutes are.
Yeah. Oh,
All right.
Do we wanna hold off on that vote
Probably.
until we all can see it?
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Okay, we'll go ahead and hold off that vote till next week so we can all view those. And you'll go ahead and share those with everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys can go ahead. Okay.
Public hearings, doesn't look like there's any today. So items for discussion, website information and mailing materials. Has become,
All right then, thank you.
quite the thing on the agenda on the past few meetings, so, I think this is something that needs to be handled during a work session, so we can have an active discussion about it, not in an actual meeting. Because, I mean, the meeting here is not, we're not here for a discussion, we're here to actually do stuff and make decisions.
As far as website information, I mean, it sounds like we can't do much more beyond what's on the board and commissions page.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it now. It looked like Lauren got removed. It looked like there was some change. Lauren got removed. The word commissioner is still next to Derek, and it still lists Chris Hall as the contact. And I mean, to Carlos's point, this has been on the agenda literally since last August.
Yeah.
Every month.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Maybe we just don't understand the process. Like, how does it not get from here to there? You know what I mean?
Is it something the commissioner needs to get involved in? Like,
No,
do
I think
need
it's
to
my
contact
fault. I
somebody?
sent it over to her, but she gets so many emails, I don't know. I'll go verbally and sit next to her and ask her to help me fix it.
As far as the mailing materials, what is that, the brochure? What do we need to do on that?
I mean, we need to come to, a course of, I think instead of just discussing what the brochure is right now and whether we should agree that that should be it and we should just reprint it again, I think it needs to be changed up. And the only person I've heard any information that's giving me any information was Elizabeth. So I think we all need to come together and discuss the actual brochure and make sure that it has all the
Actually
information.
wordsmith it as a
Yeah.
group, get a
Exactly.
card, get into
Exactly.
it.
This is something that needs to be discussed and done during, during our work session, so that we can like properly discuss this, so we can all, bring our ideas to, because this is a meeting that we're supposed to just discuss changes and stuff, not have a broad discussion about a certain topic.
And especially since, am I remembering correctly, Tara, that we can't put it in the utility bill until when? July?
July.
At the earliest.
I've already put it on their book downstairs so that it's locked in for us, so nobody else can come in and take our spot.
So if we have that as our deadline or
Well,
some,
I'd like to actually make it
go
earlier than
ahead.
that because
Absolutely.
I think, well, first of all, I think the brochure is something that we actually do have control over and we actually can take action on. And so yes, I do think we should sit down and have a work session
Yes.
and actually bring our ideas, like
Yes.
put together a rough design and then, and figure that out, because that enables us to, we'll give us one form of updated outreach to the community and other people,
Yes.
involved, so that we can actually give something to people.
Which is the main thing, to have one form of.
Some kind of public connection. And it would be good to have it done before the Santa Fe Trail Days and the Fox Theater
For
thing.
sure.
So that's
really
June.
Well, really,
First week
so
of June.
before June
So
7th.
really, we wanna do it
I think
May.
Next month?
I
next
think
month,
April,
yeah, cause
May.
April, May, we need to get it done before June.
whatever work session that we agree upon,
Yeah,
that we need to all bring those ideas and make
Yeah.
sure that we have all the ideas that we want to, and then agree in that work session what we're gonna print, because we're getting down to the wire.
so when do we wanna set that work session now while we're on it, or do you wanna come back to it?
Can we do that since it's not on this?
Our next meeting is April 10th, so are we wanting to have it after that or before that?
What do you guys think, before or after?
I think before.
I think before
Just so
also.
we can,
The only problem that I'm seeing with that is, well, actually, that's only 2 weeks between now and then.
alright, cause we moved this one.
Yeah, so this meeting is moving things around. Do we want it?
I wouldn't mind doing it April 3rd, 2 weeks from now, and just doing it then, and then
April when?
April 3rd, it's 2 weeks from today.
Wednesday?
Well, it could be any time. I mean, obviously, later in the day or a weekend is better for me. But if we're sticking to the Wednesday schedule, I don't know. It could be any.
5:30 or?
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna stick to the same, if we wanna keep it on the same time that we usually meet, then let's go ahead and
The
do
only
that.
issue I have with that is I might not be able to be here.
Okay.
No, because my husband's out of town that week, and so I don't have anybody for my kids, and I'd have to go get them.
Okay.
Can we do it before the 10th, regular meeting?
I'm okay with
I
that.
know people have not really preferred doing work sessions on the same day as regular meetings, but.
Oh, that's
That's
tough
not
for
good for
me.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well, I mean, if we have it on the 3rd, I can just see if I can find a babysitter to pick up my kids from school and bring them home.
is there a different day that week?
But he's out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He'll
Well,
be out of town. And I can also see if I can just get,
We could do it Monday, April Fool.
Is they will.
I actually think city council will be in here.
I don't know if we need. I guess one question I would have is, do we need time between the work session and the next meeting for anything to happen, or could we do it like the day before the next meeting or something like that?
Well, I'm flexible, I'll do what,
I am too. I just, I'm
what
just
y'all
wondering
think
if we.
you want to do.
If we're
We need to do
doing,
it sooner than later, you know.
if we do it on the 9th, or like the 9th or something, we might have to have it in the conference room instead of in here.
I would prefer the conference.
That would be better for
room
working,
work
honestly, yeah.
Well, just because I think city council will be in here, because I think they have an executive meeting, though they usually have Mondays and Tuesdays are their meetings.
So they're gonna have donuts and stuff in there too? Yeah, you're definitely going there.
Yeah, so, I don't know,
Tuesday
do we wanna
night,
do that?
Maybe, or?
Do you wanna do the day before?
That'd be fine with me.
Do you wanna have the work session on Tuesday, the 9th?
Yeah.
Okay.
And do we need to create a separate agenda for that?
For a work session, I'll put out a separate agenda and send them out.
And Tara, do you know, or do you have, so I think I sent the final publishers what we used the first time to make that, and I'm pretty sure I sent that file to Chris when.
I can look to see, I think I saw something in her files, I'll pull that and see if I can send that to you guys, if that would work.
Well, just so that you have it, I mean, but either both is fine, but just so you have it, so that when we do make the changes, you can go in and, if we still wanna stick with.
Do you have a copy of that so I can look at it?
Yeah.
And get some idea, generate
Well,
some
like, if I
ideas?
can find the original file, I can send you the digital, and that way, if you wanna do
Yeah.
any changes yourself, you can do it on there and then send them.
There you go.
That'll work. Okay, so I think we're gonna go ahead and finish that discussion in our work session. And try to finalize this discussion on what we're planning to do on this, because, yeah, we don't bring that too much.
In the conference room, yes.
Yes.
I will double check, but I'm almost positive that the city council will be in here.
All right, historic preservation timeline.
Tara was mentioning that she couldn't bring up the Google Drive. I was just gonna kind of look at it, but that's fine. So, initially, the timeline, for lack of a better term, I'm calling it at a glance. It's just a history of this commission. This has some history, I think Derek will recall, probably Carlos, like, it's like, when did the, first ordinance pass? When was it repealed? And et cetera, et cetera. So I think it was just an effort, just have it could be incorporated into an onboarding packet very easily. It's basically just a worksheet or a spreadsheet with date, activity, and then a comment section. So I have, I don't know what I got in there, the first ordinance that was repealed, which was, I believe, in 2003. So when was the brochure created? 2022, I think. I need to add the date for when our ordinance got rearranged. I think that was last year, 2023, and I don't know, Tara, if you have those details about what got moved and where within.
We've been actually,
Code.
Nick and I have been going through that, looking at the original ordinances and when the changes were made and everything. So we've been looking at that, so we have the dates, I believe.
Okay. So I think if it's okay or if it's appropriate, open meeting wise to, I'll just keep plugging away at it and work on it, fill in dates and activities. You all have access to the Google Drive, you can look at it and put info in there if you want to. And I think the question I had before about the Google Drive generally, like, is this okay that we're doing that? I know I've been a little anal about that, but, so apparently other boards and commissions have Google Drives too. So we're not the only ones.
No.
And it is on the, is it appropriate or correct to say on the city's server or, okay. So as long as there is a
The
city.
Google Drive?
It's Google is Google, so that's not
Yeah.
everywhere. You
So
can
it's
just
not a
access it.
server,
It's not controlled by,
it's
it's not,
No, it's not controlled by the city.
it's not a city controlled resource.
Right,
It's a-
well,
But it's,
Unless,
you're
unless,
saying that it's still open meeting law, it's still.
well, I'm not gonna make a definitive statement about that, cause I don't want that responsibility, but I think the
Yeah.
point was just that if
Anybody
there is a
can
city
access it.
staff person who is on that shared Google Drive, that
there's visibility.
I think we're within, and my understanding was that some of the other, and I could be wrong, so I'm just asking for clarification, was that some of, at least one other board does house or archive their meeting minutes on their Google Drive, so they have copies.
All the minutes are on the Google Drive, yeah.
Ours are?
Yeah.
Should I just not see that? Apparently not.
They're not.
That's what I'm wondering, like I said,
Maybe
if we
different.
want to, you can go down and look, cause I have access on my computer. For some reason, it's not on here. So I'm gonna need to talk to our IT and see if they can move it up here and add it to here.
So what exactly is this
I'm
timeline?
wondering if, sorry.
If we have the minutes recorded and everything,
It's for us to know what was
for
done
future,
Well, also just
people.
us as a group to know what was created and when it was created and what was done when, so, cause a lot of this, I didn't know, like, when the brochure was created, how old this brochure was, stuff like that, like, just so that, if not us as members, but also future members, new members
Yeah.
know the history of what has happened with the board, and then also to keep it so, like, what dates that we went ahead and landmarked this building and landmarked that.
But
building,
my
landmarked
question is, are we literally gonna be able to take the minutes and just place them on the Google Drive? 'Cause that's what it
They're
sounds
already,
like.
they're already on the Google Drive.
I think where
So
there
It's
is
not
a
part of the
confusion,
timeline.
I think there's a confusion because there's a Google Drive that the city maintains where all of that stuff is, and the Google Drive that I created
Right.
that I've shared with all of you.
Okay.
And Tara also has access to. So that's totally
Oh.
separate
Okay.
than the Google Drive from the city. So
Oh,
if
That's
we
what
need
I-
to move
We would have to
the
have.
data from my stuff to the city's Google Drive, I guess, I mean, that's fine, it's all public information, but
I
there's a
would need to
distinction
ask-
there,
I would have to
there's a confusion there
Oh.
where you're thinking one thing and you're
Oh,
thinking one
thank
thing,
you.
but there's two different things going on here.
I think that's why I was confused too.
And
Cause I was like, I know
You're
the
saying
minutes are
that
there.
those minutes are
Yeah.
on that Google Drive, they're on the city's Google Drive.
No.
They're not on the Google Drive that
Got it.
I've shared
Oh, okay.
with the group.
Yeah, the
Right.
city
I just
has-
So we don't have any
No, this is
access
very
to
nice.
that.
This is helpful.
I just
We have
remember
no
the timeline
access.
saying for the future, for future members or for us to realize what we have, where we've been and what we've done. And I'm like, well, that's what the minutes are, right? Or no?
Yeah, but we don't have access to this.
Yeah,
We don't have access to-
the timeline's
I
more like
don't.
a high level,
Snapshot.
it's like a high level
I'll ask
overview
Audra and make
of
sure, but I'm
major
positive you
events.
guys are supposed to have access to it.
I've
I've never been introduced to a.
Yeah, that's what, let me double check with Audra, but I'm almost
The
sure
only
that
Google
you guys
Drive
should.
Clarification
is
back,
the
because if
one
we
I
can move all that onto the city's Google Drive, that would
Yeah. It's
probably.
all
Might just have
public
to
information,
Share it to
so
that drive. or-
that's all fine with me. I just never heard that there was a city Google Drive that we can use
Did you know before
for the group.
today that there was?
No, I did not.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, because I was talking to somebody this morning at that thing, so I was assuming it was the same Google Drive.
No, the one that I've shared with our group is the
It has all the
our,
pictures and stuff.
our
Gotcha.
stuff. Like,
Yeah.
so that isn't part of the public.
No, this
Which,
I'm glad we
if
clarified.
we
Which
have like
might go
this
against
here,
open records.
this here might violate that because it isn't part of that, but all the rest of it that's in there, it's all public record
Right.
okay.
that
Except
anybody
for
has
stuff I've
access
added
to.
recently. Because I didn't-
Stuff that you've
yeah.
added to recently, yeah.
So, yeah.
But this definitely, like, this is great, cause this definitely needs to be, this would be something that'd be great to put on our page, or have a link to it,
Yeah,
so that everybody can see this, cause I think this is great for everybody in the city to know.
Absolutely.
So, I think, I
Yeah.
like what's
Huh.
going on, I like what you've done, and I think it definitely, we need to add more and more to it.
Because on the timeline, what I did is like, for instance, I found, so I was curious as to when Mr. Murphy started, videotaping these meetings at what year? 2011?
10 maybe.
Pardon?
Oh no, historic preservation later. Tourism was 2010 maybe. I don't know. I have it all at home, so I go back and
The
look.
earliest video that I could find for the HPC was 2015, I want to say. I have to look.
That sounds about right.
Timeline. But it was helpful just to look at it because basically what it was is one of the first meetings that this commission had. I put a link to the YouTube in the document. So they were orienting the commission to the CLG. It was the very first, this History Colorado had come up, was doing an in-service to the folks who were on that first commission. So I thought it was interesting and good history for us to have for anybody who's on the commission now or in the future. So all of that's there if you want to look at it. It's kind of
By the way,
nice.
they did post for, the opening. It was posted on the internet and on the newspaper. And Des said also on the radio.
I saw that, but I saw that nothing specific about the real
So the
estate
way that they're
or-
doing it now, because of the new ordinance for the way that city council vets everybody now and it goes through them, they're asking for us to write questions that you were wanting city council to ask for specifically for historic preservation. So she said, come up with 5 questions, she will pass them along to city council so that they can ask the questions. So they do not They only specify for the, if you've been in the city for a year.
Is this point B that we're just?
No, that's different memberships.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we might be off
I think
our
we're,
agenda.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
probably
we
off
off
of
of
it.
it.
I thought that would be about the timeline. I figured it was with the timeline.
Well, but perhaps that could be moved to the work session, this
Okay.
topic.
Point of order.
All right.
So I don't think there's anything else on the timeline that I wanna mention. I did ask, Tara if she could dig around in whatever archives the city has to find the actual hard copy of that initial,
The initial ordinance.
the initial ordinance for the HPC.
I can send that over to you. I think we found it.
If you could send it to Carlos and, we could, you know, well, I don't know if we could share, maybe you.
I can send it to all of you.
Yeah, she can share to all,
Okay.
because I can't share to all of you, and then I violate it.
But it would be helpful just to know what was so bad about that ordinance that
Yeah.
it wasn't repealed. Not
Right.
so bad, but I'm very interested to see what
What
the
the
actual.
contention
Change,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's part of our history, it's
Well,
part of
definitely.
what.
I didn't realize I thought this was established in 2017 by that ordinance.
There was one prior,
2001, and I think
Mhm.
repealed in 2003,
yeah,
I want to
yeah.
say.
and
When was it repealed?
When was it repealed, Tom?
Oh, the historic preservation?
Yeah,
22 years ago.
22 years, January 2002.
So there's this history that I think we need to be aware of about what the city and its citizens think about historic preservation, not to say, I mean, obviously things have changed and, you know, not everybody feels the way certain people did, maybe that ordinance really needed to be repealed, I don't know.
I can send you both copies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll stop talking. I did, sorry, the one other piece I had on timeline was, about, some of the other research I did was about a donation that was made to Temple Aaron.
I didn't find like any official paper that says that we did it, but it shows that we paid a $5,000 fee for Temple Aaron.
Fee,
Yeah, it was a fee for their,
Is this from our budget?
I think so.
it literally just said from City of Trinidad Historic Preservation is all it said. It didn't specify which account it came from. It was for consulting engineers.
for their original initial assessment, I think when they were starting
Yeah.
down.
When
the
they're
path.
starting this process for the
Yeah.
national, yeah.
And there's no, I'm not questioning that necessarily, it's just informational that I think it would be important for us to
It
know.
would be good
about
to be
that.
clear on that.
Yeah.
It'd also be cool to say that we helped, provide some of the architectural study that went into the eventual
Yeah, even though
remodeling.
it happened how long ago?
Yeah,
We did it in
2016, so?
2018. But this was approved by the planning administrator. And it just says that it was in our file from
Is it Georgie?
Yeah, it was Georgie. But it does, like, there's no letter in here saying that it came from HPC, but it was in HPC's files for they're getting their landmarking, so.
Because we had spoken briefly about doing a donation now, and I don't know where we are with that, or if we're still wanting to pursue that or not, but that's related to the timeline, so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yep,
Good work.
thanks.
Yeah, item C, Echoes 2024 landmark in the box. So, what did we need to do for that? Because I know a lot of that has already been done. as far as
I
know.
talked to Keely,
Uh-huh.
because she is the treasurer for the board for the Fox. She says that she's willing to help us, get it started. It needs to be posted, by this Friday for us to be in the meeting in April. So we've got a timeline. It needs to be published by 3/22 for the meeting for 4/10, to go in front of city council by 4/16 for the first reading, then the second reading would be 5/7 for us to make it by Santa Fe Trail Days.
And we're talking about the actual landmark.
For it to be landmarked in time for Santa Fe Trail Days.
Well,
Could you
what-
read those dates off one more
Yeah.
time? please?
Okay, so we need to have it published by 3/22, which is Friday, for it to be in our meeting, for it to be presented on 4/10. So that would be our meeting in April.
Okay.
Then that would go after that if we approve it. Now, that's if we approve it, it has to, then it'll go to city council by 4/16 for the first reading. The second reading would be 5/7 for us to be able to have officially a landmark in time for Santa Fe Trail Days. And that will meet all of the publishing guidelines and all the policies and procedures before. So I already, like I said, I talked to Keely last week, and actually she said she was gonna try and make it to this meeting if she could. She says it's no problem for her to help us, because they already have a lot of the research already done. So she's gonna help me get it finished. She will present it for us, so that there's no issues with anybody else or having any problems with, anybody needing to step down or anything like that, so that everybody can vote. So she and I will publish, or do it, because I don't vote, so it's okay for me, for city properties, to present it.
Oh, right. Yeah, cause,
Yeah, that's good.
what's her name? She presented before on the, no,
The Arizona buildings and the time.
who was it before? I'm sorry. Before Tara? Who was your?
Chris.
Chris.
Yes, Chris.
Chris.
She would present, so,
Yeah.
yes, that's fine.
Yeah, right, that's right.
But since Keely is part of the Fox board, we figured it'd be okay for her to present it. So she's gonna help get
To
the,
us, right?
yeah, she's gonna help me get the landmarking application done.
That's what I was confused about, like, we don't have to do nothing with the application except for vote on it, right?
Now she's going to do it for us.
Oh, what do you think about that?
Well, as long as everything gets in by Friday, I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
it all hampers on that.
I will,
And
it
if
should
not,
be
then I
okay.
guess
Let me,
we'll just make we intend to do this.
Well,
Well-
we have other dates, like backup dates, it just means it'll be really close if
Oh,
we do
yeah.
it the second set of dates. And the second set of dates would be, we would wait until May for it to be presented to us instead. And then it would be, the first reading would have to be done by city council by 5/21, and the second one would be June 4th. It's really what hinders us is the publication in the paper,
Yeah.
because it has to be so many weeks ahead
okay.
in order for it to hit the paper on time.
Yep.
And that's what messes everything up, because it has to be almost 3 weeks in advance. So, but I talked to her last week, she said she was already starting to work on it, she's excited about it, said it shouldn't be a problem. I wanna call her tomorrow to see if she's done with her portion, so that I can do the report to get it in by Friday.
I have some updates from
Yes.
Christopher Smith,
Okay?
from the
Can I real
Fox.
quick interject or ask the question, so, plaque,
That's one.
so are we gonna pay for that, the
Yes.
HPC or the city?
I will talk with Audra and see if that comes from, I would think, I'm not sure which one that would come from.
I think it comes,
I think it comes from, yeah,
I think it comes from HPC.
HPC, cause I think that's who we pay for the city one.
Did we pay for the library?
I can't remember, yeah,
Is there a record of that? Like-
there, well, yeah.
Is there, is
Somewhere.
it on the timeline?
Yeah, there's a record for everything, so.
That's gotta be on the timeline.
Well, it would be great, I mean, to have that during Santa Fe Trail Days for our whatever we end up doing, which Chris is gonna report on, would be.
I mean, if it
Really
doesn't, if we can't do it in time, I mean, we'll get as far as we can and we'll still present where we are, you know?
No, I
It still is
like
gonna get done.
Yeah,
So hopefully we can have it for Trail Days. If not, we'll present where we are with it and that, you know, in the next coming weeks. I know.
So, yeah.
I don't see an issue with us hitting the deadline, even if we do the second schedule, because we double checked to make sure the dates were fine. We would get it landmarked before. So we should be fine either way, if we have to delay till May, but it would be nice if we did it by April, so that we, just in case there is a problem or something gets fandangled,
And
we're
can you,
okay.
can you find out about the flag?
Yeah,
For
I will
for
check.
our work session?
Yeah,
So we can.
I'll check with you, or
Order
Audra
that
tomorrow.
quite a
Yeah.
bit ahead of time, I think.
Yeah, I'll check with Audra and see about getting it taken care of right
Yeah.
away.
Okay.
Because we've done it before, so there's just have to repeat the process. Okay,
What did-
so,
Chris, what did you need?
I got a bunch, actually.
Oh, yeah, Chris,
Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry.
I've had some email conversations with Christopher Smith, and he's brought in Keely and Dana Crawford into the thread too. And the first thing I was gonna say is that he said that first he's really glad that we're doing it. He said that he thinks he could work with the Santa Fe Trail Days, but also at some other time. So like we're talking about, if we don't get it done by then,
So the
you know,
plan
we
B.
could still have, still do the same sort of events, but just at a different time. I think so one thing, we talked about a couple different things. He likes the idea of doing a presentation ceremony at the theater. And he's talked about being able to open up the lobby and the retail area for public access, and then doing like a presentation there. He's talked about possibly having some descendants of Ed West there to be present, which would be really awesome. And I had brought up the idea of, somehow trying to tie it into Santa Fe Trail Days, if we do it that, time, like, a movie that maybe would have been shown there or something, or maybe some movie posters that were from a movie that had a trail theme or whatever. And at first he was talking about possibly, we talked about doing like a sort of little talk or lecture or presentation. He said that the lead architect would probably be willing to do that. And he was proposing doing something at the college theater, or the college auditorium, which I guess is nice and new and remodeled and everything. So he's actually already got permission from Donna Epler for us to use it either Friday or Saturday night or afternoon to do a film showing. And he's talking about getting,
So a film and lecture at the Masari?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Keely
election.
said he had said something about that. She said the only thing she was worried about is that would take it away from Main
Okay,
Street
we're talking about having two different events.
to different events.
Yeah, that's why if I wasn't clear about that. One on Friday and one on Saturday. Doing the one Friday evening, having it be the, presentation, whatever official, giving them the plaque and everything, and having it being open to the public. And the main benefit, one of the benefits I see to having it open, doing it during the Santa Fe Trails Days is that we already have an audience of people at the trail days that we can bring those brochures to and say, hey, we're doing this event over here in an hour or whatever, and there's this, kind of built-in, audience for it. But you also talk about having the back of the theater open for some public viewing also, and from that perspective. So that would, this all can be changed around, like, as far as dates and time, but the idea was doing that maybe Friday evening, and then Saturday afternoon, doing a showing of silent films we're doing a presentation, with the architect, and then a series of silent films that would have been shown at the theater, along with live piano improv accompaniment. So I think all that would be really awesome. I don't know how much of that, that's kind of what we've talked about so far. But I told him that another thing, you might have seen there was a post by the Rocky Mountain PBS regarding the Fox Theater recently. And then someone from Rocky Mountain PBS posted that they were looking for stories about Trinidad. And I got in touch with her and told her what I was working on, what we were working on. And so I'm still trying to get a feel for what they're looking to do, but it could be great to get PBS channel down here for it at the same time. He also, Christopher Smith, mentioned that even before that, he'd like to get a video, get it recorded, and I thought we could possibly talk to Jeff Montoya again about about doing that, but having, multiple, media sources there is not a bad thing. That definitely could be cool. But let me see if that's all of my notes here. And then I had my questions we were already kind of discussed. Can we produce an updated brochure before then? Can we install a plaque? Oh, the other thing was, Christopher said that the city has the architectural plans of the Fox.
Mhm.
And I was wondering, I think it'd be cool to try to get some large scale reprint of that or something, so we could have like some kind of display, like little exhibits alongside the, like at the theater, or at both theaters, at the Fox, and then move it over and have it like on easels or whatever at the,
Yeah, that'd be cool,
the College Theater.
especially to show like the state of the art stuff that was added to it for like after the fire and stuff. Not the fire here, but
Oh.
Chicago fire.
Oh,
There
so
was,
there
there was a
like-
huge theater fire in
Right.
Chicago, and he was building this one, and he put state-of-the-art technology into this theater.
For like fireproofing or
Right.
prevention and stuff. That would be cool. Yeah, the lead architect.
Yeah, that
he
was-
would probably know about all that, so that would be
Yes.
awesome. Yeah.
That's on our video, I thought.
Oh, okay, cool.
He talked about it on the,
I can see about getting the plans, no problem.
Okay.
And I can see if we can get them reprinted next door, because they have the big printer over there. That's how we did the maps, so.
And I also, I guess, I made a document that I'm reading off of here that I did put in our shared drive, that maybe it needs to go to a different drive.
I will find out about that.
It's basically everything I just said, but then I also kind of created like a little list of action items, including like getting the actual landmark done, turning the videography resources, getting the brochure done as part of it, and then continuing to interact, or to kind of talk with Christopher Smith about the speakers and Ed West descendants and stuff like that. And Keely, like I said, Keely's been on that thread too, so she's aware of all this too, so.
Yeah.
We can work out more of this, I guess, during the working session.
You've been busy.
It's just a couple emails, but he came out with a lot of this stuff, so he's made it easy. They're really, eager to do something. So, yeah, it was really cool. And he was saying that like I mentioned, he brought up the videography because they have a YouTube channel that they could, put that on, that they promote. So.
I love it. Carlos, what do you think? You're
Yeah.
quiet.
No, it's all good stuff.
I mean, so the silent film, the reasoning is sort of because that's what it.
That's what they used to show them.
Yeah, I would have been a point. Well, so actually, so first he was.
Timeframe is.
Yeah, first he was actually talking about, there's a movie called Raton Pass that is actually set in the Raton Pass,
These aren't on.
in the trail days, but it was recorded in the 50s, it was made in the 50s, but it's set earlier. And wasn't filmed around here, but it was filmed in New Mexico somewhere. And it has, it's like a story about two ranching families vying for control of Raton Pass and this and that. So it would have been a cool locally relevant thing. And he was going to look into the licensing rights or costs on that. And I'm not sure if he didn't say whether he looked into it, but he then said maybe this other idea with silent films. And I guess it opened in 1908, right? So
I think it was, that's the right date.
So there would have been a period where it showed silent films. I've been looking at some old newspapers around that time and found some pretty cool articles. There were a lot of boxing matches there.
Huh.
And,
Really?
yeah. And it was kind of a controversial deal at some points where there was at some point there was like a minister's group that came to the mayor and asked him to stop the fight. And
Trinidad
they
used to
did.
be big on boxing.
It was a pretty big deal. There was,
We got a few Olympian, like gold medalists out here. Older gentlemen, like.
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and corner door, bring it back to what we need to speak about here. So, I don't know, do we have anything more on the landmarking, or are we done with that?
No, I think we're just needing to make some, just finding out some, if we can make the deadline and stuff,
Okay.
which I'll let you guys know.
Hopefully we can get that done. Update on the Echoes 2023 video.
Quickly, are we adding Echoes to work session agenda?
Yes, I did.
Thanks. Sorry?
So do we have an update on the Echoes 2023
That was
video?
a point that Chris wanted added. I didn't know what you were needing. Yeah, you sent
No,
it
that
me.
was me.
Oh, that was you? Oh, sorry, wrong person.
We need to update on
Where is it? Why isn't it online?
Is there some?
I thought we had like a plan to like release it week by weekly, cause we had this shorts thing. I mean, if the city likes to spend money on stuff that doesn't get put out there, then I guess we could just leave it as it is, but I would think they'd want it out there so that the public
Who
can
has it,
view
Jeff
it.
Montoya?
No, the
No,
city has it,
he sent them over to us.
so.
I need to talk to Audrey because Anissa is no longer with the city and she was the one running the social media account. So I need to find out who's now in charge of social media and see if they can get them posted on there.
Cause I thought I seen it on YouTube.
When you say post, they should be on YouTube so that they can be linked to, like, does the city has a YouTube channel, right?
I don't believe we have a YouTube channel now, we only
I
have
know,
Facebook.
I
I think it does have one, or someone made one in the name.
Yeah,
of the
that's
city
quite
at some point.
possible because, well, like I said, Anissa was in charge of all social media for the city. So I don't know who's taking over for her position or if they've decided who's going to. So, I'll need to find out who's in charge of that now to know who to send it all over to.
Well, it seems like this is just my thoughts off the top of my head. I didn't know about these other changes, but, it's a really valuable, I think, piece of film and
Yeah.
worthwhile, and that we need to do something with it. And then if no one's really kind of on deck about who's taking responsibility for that, then I think we need to be responsible for it. At least asking or directing or keeping it
Yeah,
on the radar so that we know that it's gonna be put to good use, so I don't know how that
we
looks.
spent our money on it and
Wait, the last
She's
time I
gonna
had talked,
find out.
Anissa was going to be posting them, like I said, but I did not realize that she
Posting
left the
where?
city.
I mean, unless we can get files of it and just go upload it ourselves.
Well, we're not supposed to have,
Kinda have
we're not
to
supposed to have
leave
any
it.
web resources, we're not supposed to
Yeah.
have social media presence.
Oh,
city
it
bans
needs
us
to
from
be-
doing it.
The city,
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
saying we have no other choice but to wait on the city. So.
I will check and I'll have that information for the work session.
So I wonder if we can we just keep this on the agenda so that we can keep track of it?
Yeah,
I'll add it to the work session.
keep on adding the same things to agenda, just keep on pushing them on. So, alright, well, I guess there's the update. So memberships,
Those were Elizabeth Kelly, had some memberships she wanted
Well,
to.
those are just the three, so the Trinidad Historical Society, which is like $15 a year. The Friends of Historic Trinidad, I think it's about the same, that's the group out of Denver, which is.
are these all
Pretty-
yearly,
Pardon?
are they all the yearly like
Yes.
or memberships or something like that?
Yes, those two are, and then the other one was, I keep forgetting the name of it, it's the National
Association of Historic Preservation Commission.
Yes, so that's like a big association that
Right,
gives us information about what are
Yeah.
other historic preservation.
which I think
and
is important.
I just think we need to be connected
Yeah,
to those local groups as well as this
The
national
national
group. That's the only thought I had about it.
I think that'd be something you guys would need to vote on, whether or not you want to use money from.
yeah, I think that's something we do need to
So it
vote
would
on,
be
so,
like-
I don't know,
Approximately $130
for all
combined
three
each
of them.
year.
There's one more that I'd like to add to that too. I like to at least do the research into it first, but I think it's called Friends of Historical Southeast Colorado. I found they're on Facebook, but they're in, I think, based out of, is it Manzanares or Manzanas, up by Rocky Ford on the Arkansas. I can't remember, they have there's like an old city hall or some kind of building there, but they have a whole list of projects. One of their projects is geomapping a old cemetery here in Trinidad.
Oh.
So it seems like something that we could be connected to. I think they were like, it was like $20 a year or something like that, so I'll try to bring that to the work session.
Okay.
So
So
are
we're,
we voting on this memberships right now? And then we'll
Would
get
you,
back on that?
I mean, do we wanna vote on these right now?
I think we
With
should.
the information, I
I think
mean,
we should do
I
so.
know about them, so I feel confident, but I wanna make sure that the other members are confident in making decisions on it. I mean, I know we probably should wait to make a decision, cause I didn't know about them, I'd like to
Yeah.
look up a little bit more on
Would
them.
you like-
I'd like to show it to everyone before we approve
Do
that
you
one
want me
for
to
sure.
send you the titles and the links? I can send them to each of you so that you guys can look at each of the websites.
I have them, but yeah,
Well,
sure.
I
But that's gonna push everything back to the work session.
No.
Well, no,
no,
that
no,
we
no.
can't do that one on a work session. That would have to be
Yeah,
pushed
we
to
have
the
to,
April
yeah.
meeting.
Exactly.
Cause you
So
can't
is the
vote at work
question in
session.
front of us whether we're ready to vote tonight on these three that we've just talked about.
Exactly. I just wanna make sure
I-
that the rest of the
I'm
members are okay.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I guess we're gonna, let me call for a motion that we go ahead and spend, how much is it, $130? How much is it?
Yeah,
It's $130 of the commission's money to be part of the Friends of Historic Trinidad.
Trinidad Historic Society.
Trinidad Historic Society and
National.
the National
association,
Association.
Historical Preservation
commission.
Commission.
There we go.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Alright, I'll call.
I guess we'll call for a vote.
Okay, Chris,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Derek,
Yes.
Carlos.
Yep.
Alright, it's been voted in.
So do you have all those applications?
I can pull them up, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you're gonna get us information on the
Mhm.
Southeast.
Yeah, we'll bring that one up for the next meeting, so then we'll make a vote on that one. But, I mean, that sounds good for what it is and for their, and I think we should always be part of like these, especially the local ones, because I feel like they feel like we have left them out so much, and I don't want them to be left out anymore. I'd love it for them to be part of these meetings and come here. So
For us to.
if we
go
could
travel.
always try to reach out to these groups, that would be my
And maybe
go-to.
when we submit those registrations with the fee, we could make that known, just to say that we really, want, if you wanna confirm, tell them when our meetings are and all
Send them
that.
information on us.
Yes.
Yeah, just an
That's what I
invite,
need to say.
and that we'd love for their input on anything that we
Yes.
have. I mean, that's why we have public comments, I'd love to hear from them.
Okay.
All right. So, new business, city planner Nick Mason.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm Nick Mason, new city planner, been here full-time since January 1st, so I appreciate, thank you, I appreciate all you guys do, I appreciate this, you guys' passion for historic preservation, it's admirable, and I'm here to support you guys any way I can. Tara's your liaison, but I help her as much as I can for when all this stuff comes up, so. First, I'd like to talk about the Google Drive. You guys should have a Google Drive. So I handle planning commission.
Mhm.
We have Google Drive when we have public hearings. Now it's a little different because it's quasi judicial. They vote on people's property, stuff like that.
As we're also causing.
Yes, so-
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's perfect. So you guys on that planning, or in that planning drive, shouldn't be able to work on it per se. So, but Tara should be able to.
Right.
So if you want to get
So we could
stuff
send
on
stuff to her to.
yes, that's correct. For these meetings, that way everyone shows up. So what happens for my meetings is I produce a big, the agenda, the meetings from, or the minutes from the last meeting are on there, because they need to be approved. But, so yeah, we have the agenda, the meeting minutes, and then the packets for whatever they're gonna vote on that night. That way they have a good clue. And that, you guys probably deserve the same thing. That way, you guys can show up and say, okay, what are we voting on tonight? You guys just voted on something. And everyone should be able to say, okay, I looked through that, or, if you didn't, but at
We
least have
usually
the,
get that from Tara.
yeah, but it should be,
It should
so
be put on our
everyone
timeline.
has the same access.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, that should help you guys out a lot, cause there's a lot of sending it and then it gets
Yeah.
lost or whatever. So that's the way that works. You get it to Tara, she should be able to put it on there and you guys could search through, and when you guys have a meeting, a week up before or whatever, you
Just
search through and have information at hand.
Okay.
So that's, and I'll help Tara with, make sure, I don't know, they should have one for here, so that's what's confusing me, but if not, we'll get it taken care of. But yeah, that was, should help you guys out with that at least, but I'm just here, any questions or, like I said, any support I could offer you guys, I'm here for.
No? You guys have any questions?
Well, we've talked a little bit about just being clearer in our own minds about what the role of the HPC is in terms of planning and staying on our agenda. I'm not hearing from that, but just wanting to be clear and included and at the table, where it's appropriate. So I don't know what your thoughts are, if any, about that.
I don't know, I haven't been too involved with your guys' meetings per se, so that's probably, I should have probably stepped in a little sooner, but, you're creating a timeline, that's perfect, because the most important thing in your timeline is probably gonna be your ordinances that, one, created HPC, because that's gonna be your guidebook to what you guys can and cannot do. Just like, and there's one for planning commission, so that's gonna be the start of it. Now, you do have a start date before 2001 that was that was appealed. So that was 2001. They appealed in 2002, like I said. But your timeline, and then a part of that timeline should also be what landmarkings you guys did, because those go through ordinance, and those are very important because then you have a nice list of buildings you can landmark. And that's a huge part of what you guys do. And that's as important as anything you guys do. Being able to landmark buildings in this, this community it's very necessary because there's a lot of beautiful buildings, so. But yeah, as far as your guys' role, the AOC, you guys get, I forget, is that right? AOC, what is that?
CLG.
CDL or CDL.
Yeah.
Certified level
Yeah,
library.
certified level.
Okay,
I've
no,
got too
I'm
many
sorry.
acronyns in my
No.
head.
When someone comes into,
Certificate of appropriateness.
yes, certificate, that's what it is,
Yeah.
COA, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
COA. So like, you guys are reviewing that, that's a huge part of what you guys do, and that's perfect, and, I know that's directly what you guys are supposed to be doing, and, yeah, that's, I don't know. But like I said, I'm here to support you guys anyway. I do help Tara as much as I can on that, because it's, I know how it is with the commission. We have a job that's totally different, not totally different, but a lot different. Like, I only focus on planning commission maybe a week out of the entire month. The other 3 weeks, I'm focusing on other stuff, and Tara's the same way. She has to focus on building permits and everything else, so we try to support each other as best we can.
And you're in Keely's position?
Yes, I believe
And
so.
you're in,
Chris, actually, no, I'm actually in Victor's position.
who's Victor?
Victor that's why I took Development Services Administrator. I do Chris's position and back up Nick as well now, because there was nobody came in and filled Chris's position.
Yeah, so they dissolved Chris's position, and then me and Tara cover it. So, yeah.
Sweet.
The city, we hold multiple hats. Never just.
Kind of going off what Elizabeth was saying, and we've been looking a lot at the ordinance and specifically what it says. But there seems to be a disconnect between what the ordinance says we should be doing and what resources the city is giving us and the communication we're getting from the city. Because, we're supposed to maintain a list of these properties.
Yes.
But we don't, is that something the public is supposed to be accessible,
It should be, yeah, it should be.
But we don't have any resources to establish a website or a social media residents.
Yeah, you can't have a website or a
Right.
social media.
So how do we, how do we communicate a list of historic properties to the public if we can't have resources like
You
that?
don't have to communicate the list, you just have to,
Right.
retain a list.
But you just said that it would be good to communicate to them, right?
Good communication.
Communicate the list
Well, that
of,
would come in our
resources.
brochures or something.
was that?
That would come in our
Yeah,
brochures.
I mean, yeah, you can
Yeah.
have brochures, but
Like we can say, hey, we've done this, 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 and this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Make your
But,
property
so if
next
I'm,
or
but if I'm
something.
doing research into the buildings that are certified by us,
Mhm.
I live in California, how would I figure that out?
what do you mean? Well, they call the planning department,
Okay, so I had to make a phone call, I couldn't look up on the public website, is what you're saying.
the list. That's a good question.
So that's
If-
that's
if-
just one, that's just one issue really, because if you looked at have you looked at the ordinance that establishes this?
Yes.
Okay,
2015.
17.
Ours says
It's
15 on our
2015.
ordinance.
15 was the ordinance and 17 was the CLG.
Was when it was, yeah.
I'm looking at what's on the website right now,
Yeah.
so whatever the update is that moved it from
2023.
one section to another section.
Mhm.
So it says that we're supposed to be seeking grants.
Mhm.
What kind of guidelines can we get on that? Or is that something you're gonna cover? Because I asked that earlier in the email.
In the email, that I was gonna cover that in my reports. But, grants, I did talk to Talitha about, she said she's willing to help us at all, in anything if we wanna get grants and start doing that.
Okay.
She said she's willing to step in and help us.
It says we're supposed to work with other entities.
I know,
What does that mean exactly?
Virginia Jimenez from Creative District
Mhm.
is planning on holding a grant writing like session to teach everybody, whoever needs to know how to write grants.
That's
So
nice.
I know that's something we need to go check out.
So will the city give us authorization to prepare grants?
Yeah, that's
on our
what
behalf?
Talitha works with the city, and so she said she's willing to come over whenever we're ready. She said she's willing to sit down with us and go and do that if we'd like. She said she has no problem with helping us on that.
Okay. Um,
'Cause
As far
she's-
as far as working with other entities,
yeah,
you guys work with the building department every day. It's
well,
By your past-
specifically for grant seeking.
for grant seeking. Yeah, I mean, you guys are going about it the right way, so
Okay.
yeah.
So that's the only other entity we can work with, really? It's
Yes.
within the government, not outside.
If we wanted to, but that would take money from we would have to pay for that.
Yeah.
With doing it with Talitha, that's free, because she's an employee for the city.
Right.
So we can get her to come
Well, if
in,
it doesn't cost any money.
yeah, it doesn't cost us any money for her to come in and help
No,
us.
I'm saying, what if it doesn't cost us any money to seek outside help?
Then that's,
So it is allowed if
Yeah.
there's no cost involved?
Yeah.
Okay,
For city-owned properties only though, is that?
because that's what we only do landmarking for city owned. If it's an outside, like the state land wanting to do it,
Right,
that would be on them to do for the landmarking.
yeah.
So we do have rights to go and say, hey, this building is city owned and it should be
Landmarks.
landmarked.
Mhm.
Well, but we've established, so we have to act, as we talked about today in our training, again, as one body though. I mean, we're a commission, we don't.
But we can't all meet together out of a meeting.
But we have a priority list set already of the buildings that we have, and refresh my memory now,
Right.
and I keep forgetting each
I
time.
remember it was
So
like the fire
those are the
station.
buildings that we've said we're gonna focus on.
Right.
And that was.
We should bring that up in the work
Carson,
session again.
Waterworks, is that still on the list? And what was the
The
third?
golf
one?
course, the waterworks,
Fox.
Fire
Fire
Fox, fire station, and I believe the other one was,
Clubhouse.
yeah, that's the golf course clubhouse. And, I think there's
Band.
like 10 altogether. I'll have to look for the list.
So we have a lot, I mean, if we got any amount of those, then we would be doing
Well, yeah.
good, you know, right? So we're not really looking for other buildings, right? I mean, unless something presented itself and has
No,
some
I was
circumstance.
just wondering, cause in my head, I was like, no, we can't because we're judges. You know what I mean? We judge these properties, so we can't go and say, hey, you should probably get your building landmarked.
We can talk
we can't
about
do
it
that.
in general terms.
But we can do city-owned buildings.
Yes,
That was my
We
question.
personally can landmark only city building. But if somebody comes in, like I said, the lady from Skateland, she's in the process of trying to do the research and everything right now, she's gonna come forward and put an application in.
And as far as if I told her she should do that, I would have to recuse myself from the vote, correct?
You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, probably, yes.
Well, I could do it, I'm just saying, I would have to recuse myself
You
from
can't tell
that
people
vote.
they should landmark their buildings, is that what you're saying?
Huh?
We can give them the information, help
Yeah, you
them.
give them the
Yeah.
information, help them, but you can't,
We can't,
you
like,
can't form it before you hear the application.
right. We
can't
can't
form
tell
an
them, hey,
opinion.
we
We
would,
can't
we would
suggest
definitely.
we can't suggest any homeowners or business owners that they landmark their building.
You can't form an opinion before they keep your application. So
Can we suggest that they should make an application?
yes,
We could refer them to Ms. Tara.
yeah,
Yes.
you refer them, say, this is, if you're interested, this is the information, if you are interested, I'm sorry, sir, what's
Yeah,
going
it's
on?
tough, man.
It's like we can hardly do
It's always
anything.
been that way.
So, I know, it's just,
Because,
yeah.
well, they just don't, you can't form an opinion before.
We can't say this is a building that
Because we're a
meets the basic
quasi-
qualifications of the application.
Because you're a
Based on
quasi
knowledge?
group and
Okay.
your decision makes a decision about their property.
Mhm.
That's why you have to be very careful about how you present it.
But if
We
if the
can-
facts are irrelevant, if the facts are the same whether they make the application or I made an application, then at what point is there? an
You're
issue?
voting on it.
Because you
I can
vote on your
recuse
vote.
myself?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
Okay.
can.
So we can, so to be clear, we can help individuals create applications if we recuse ourselves from the vote.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know about that, sir. You guys might have,
Yeah,
you guys might
I
have to
don't
take
know.
That was the question we had last,
That was what they said.
that was the question we had last month, that was the question
That's
I
what I
asked for
remember.
clarification.
Yeah,
before.
they brought that up in the meeting today, because he was asked that question
Okay.
from Sursa. Because one of the other commissioners brought it up, remember, it was the person behind you. I brought it up, if they had an opinion on it, or they did some work on the application, and they brought, the application got brought up, he stated that you would need to recuse yourself and leave the building, or leave the room, because it was your.
And then hopefully
Because
we
you had a
have,
property, they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, their name was on the property, but it's the
Right.
same,
Right.
if
Form
he
that
helped
vote.
with the application. That's why I can help with the application for the Fox, because I'm not on,
you're not
it's,
voting.
I'm not voting. It's not, my opinion has nothing to do with the decision made for the Fox.
But sending people to Terra would also be,
If you send
General
some,
way,
but that's,
yes.
you give out that's why we're putting the brochure together
Yeah.
that gives the comments about landmarking. We're giving all the information we can.
Yeah.
So the brochure tells you why you should landmark, all of the pros and the the pros for the landmarking and everything. We're giving them all that information. And they can come to you and ask you about that.
I noticed, are they changing it from 50 years to 30 years now?
I haven't seen
I have
anything.
heard
Yeah, I seen
tell
that.
of that,
I seen that.
tell.
Changing what?
It's a 50-year mark for your
part
house.
of historic.
They're lowering it to 30 years
Well,
now.
I don't, I
Who-
think
who
there's
was
been a
lowering?
proposal, but it's in
the
there.
It was on the website, History Colorado.
Okay.
Well,
But
that would
that's
necessarily change
No.
our application, our
No, that would,
ordinance that says 50 years.
No, but it would say that more people could come and do their house.
The new state,
Do you have a copy of the brochure with you again?
I don't know.
I don't know if you've seen that, Nick.
no, I didn't know that, but if, right now in ordinance, it's 50 years.
Yeah.
So you guys, now this is something you guys would have to bring to city council, say, we feel like we're running out of houses, or I don't know, whatever you guys decided.
Yeah.
And take that to city council, say, we're going to request that we modify this from 50 years to 30 years.
Oh, so we don't have to wait on History Colorado or whatever?
No.
Not really, but it
That's
would
on the
help your
state
case.
level. That's for state designation, but if we're to do a local designation, it has to be at 50 years.
That's right.
Okay.
So it'd be totally up
Designation is
to you
totally
guys.
different.
You guys would have to really say, this is something we really want as a group, we want to do this, and that's totally up to you, so.
Alright.
And you'd have to take that to city council and say,
Well,
we wanna lower this, and this
Not
is
that we
why.
want to, I'm just.
Yeah,
Well, aside from landmarking buildings, the other thing we do have control over in our ordinance is the landmark alteration certificate.
Yes,
Which
yeah.
we have not had any of those brought to us. I haven't in the past 2 years.
You've done several COAs. You did the Eagles, you did, Arizona and Pine. Those are 3 in the last 6 months.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
It's a different-
I mean, we also have had
And we did,
several buildings in our district that have been, you know, demolished and.
The Beach Street is not in the Corzon district.
the brewery?
The brewery, that one was, and that
If I
one
need
should have
to
been brought
show
to you
this
guys.
map
Yeah.
again and
Oh.
again,
But
I will show it.
can I,
But
can I
these
clear something?
buildings are in our historic district. How many
Can I
times
clear
I
something? Just because it's in the historic district doesn't mean it needs,
A COA.
the COA. If it is landmarked or contributing, it does. If it's
So-
not,
We heard a COA for the Amtrak changes?
They did that because they are in the Corzon district,
that's not required.
and it wasn't required. They did it as, they wanted to be polite, and they wanted to meet all of the requirements for our city.
Yeah, it's goofy.
It's recommended.
It's recommended,
If
so
you're
they
in the-
wanted
if
to
you're-
make
yeah, if
sure
you're
it
in the
was
district,
done.
it's recommended, but per ordinance, it's not required. If you're contributing or landmarked, it is required. Does that make sense? And that's something that I dug through this past week, so, on the ordinances. Now, if you wanted to change that and say everything in the district needs to come through and get a COA, that's something that you guys would have to do as well. Take that to city council.
So,
Well, I read the original one that got a build, and that's why I got a build, was not everyone in the district felt they needed to get a COA to modify their building.
so what about the brewery? Like, what happens with that? When
I
they,
would call point of
when
order
they-
at this point,
Yeah, we're getting way off
yeah,
of stuff here.
and perhaps
This
at
was just an introduction.
It's supposed to be an introduction, yeah, we have pushed a little bit beyond.
No, it's fine.
introduction,
I'm here, like I said, I'm here to help you guys and support you
At a
guys everywhere I
future
I
can.
just had a
point-
question
at a
about,
future point,
what
at
do
a
we
work
do?
session, we could talk about this in depth, but I don't think it's.
I maybe have something I was gonna bring up later on, but it's applicable here in relation to our specific, requirements or what's expected of us. I feel like I don't feel like what we're doing is really being seen by council or anyone on council knows what we're asking about. I don't know what the process is exactly, like, are the questions we ask actually getting to city council members? Does city council see anything about that, or does it get, is it more administrative? And that leads me to my question is, should we do some kind of, report to council directly, like I've seen other commissions and boards do? Tell them what we're doing, what we want to do, the blockers that we feel are in place, how can they advise us, in a appropriate way to accomplish the goals that we're trying to do, and fulfilling the requirements of the ordinance.
Yeah. I'd say first voice your opinion to the liaison, and
Okay, sorry.
it'll go through the proper channels up to the city council. But, and as far as the reporting, I don't know, because my planning commission doesn't do one like that, so I don't know
Okay.
what goes
I
into
guess
that.
that's you then, I don't know.
Well, every time we have a meeting, I go and I tell Audra the next day if there was any questions that you guys had, if anything needed to be brought to attention, and then she's the city council liaison. So she goes to the city council if there's anything that needs to be escalated up. Every time we've done a
How do we know
landmark,
what actually gets to the city council?
well, anything that gets landmarked or anything, that goes to city council.
Of course.
And they get 2 readings,
Right, they
and
have
then,
That's process, I'm talking
Yeah.
about like,
What
So
I
I'm
think
gonna
we
have to
should
discuss
say
it,
first is
yeah.
yes, other boards have done that, we
Mm.
probably do need to do that, in my opinion. To go to a work session, ask for us to appear at a work session and talk about what we're doing. So, I think maybe we can just plan that we're gonna have a work session in April, right? But that's already full. If we had a subsequent work session to talk about, and maybe Nick could come and we could talk about this issue that's bubbling up now about what are we doing? What's our role? And then we could then have something that's cohesive and actually make a presentation to city council.
yeah, that sounds good.
But I think we need a work session to plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright.
You guys have anything else?
No.
Thank you, thanks for your time.
Thank you for
Thanks.
coming.
Thanks. Alright. I guess, we'll go on to reports. So, chairperson's report, this is me. The only thing I have to add is I talked to Farlene Arguello, and she informed me, which I'm sure you guys know, about Temple Aaron stuff going on this weekend. So Saturday, Temple Aaron is putting on their stuff. About it.
Thank you.
So she wanted to send those over to me, and then also want to inform you about History Colorado's community outreach thing that they're doing on April 6th, April 13th, and May 18th. So I'm gonna go to these.
Do they want to help publicizing this?
If you go to any building, they're all over.
I've seen them.
So I have been seeing them passing these out, and it looks like they're good on that.
Pretty well publicized.
But she did want to drop some off for us, and said that was good. And
Who's all going, do we know? To the
Saturday,
Aaron on
I'm
Saturday?
going to go
I'm
Saturday.
going.
So, and then also, I mean, this is stuff that, the stuff for History Colorado is the stuff that Eric had told me about. I was very interested in finding that, so I'll be attending most of those as long as I can. But other than that, that's all I have. Commissioners, anybody else have a report? Elizabeth?
Two quick things. So I attended the Holy Trinity Academy Zoom on Monday, I guess it was. And it was, I think, sponsored by the Downtown Development Group. And it was about an hour, and it was really helpful. Just talked about all the brownfield work that they're doing. So they are indeed just doing asbestos and lead abatement, and I think they said it would probably take most of this year, if I'm remembering correctly, to get all that done. So that they said it wouldn't appear like they're doing much because it'll be all inside. So I just really appreciate it. I think those updates, especially for the public, are really, really helpful and a good example of how easy it is to reach out and update the public on such things. And then today, just the training that we had was helpful from Sursa. I think one of my takeaways is that to clarify, and that is indeed that local rule is that our designated public places for posting agendas and meeting notices are indeed City Hall and the library, which I kind of knew, but I guess I thought the website was also a legit official. I'm not challenging anybody, I'm just saying that I think that's, at least according to the city local rule, it's optional.
It's if we go fully electronic, then we would only need to post on the website, but the city has decided not to do that yet, so we're doing the 2 locations.
So I would just, my only comment is that, we need to have, I think all of the boards and commissions, city council should be posted on the website. I know most of them are, and if we really want to be transparent and to have engagement from the community, they need to know about our meetings, and so being on a website is really critical, and I hope that we can make that happen, that the city will designate the website as a required public posting location sometime soon. That's all I had.
This last month, a few weeks ago, I went to Las Vegas, Nevada, New Mexico, and was really impressed as like the program they have. I mean, they started in 1977, so they have quite a bit of experience on us. But they have a website, interestingly enough. They have plaques that have historical context for the buildings, which I thought was really cool. So I thought there's a lot we could learn from some of these communities that have been doing it longer than us. And maybe we could use that as an example of things that we could, aspire to be as a city.
I think that aren't they a nonprofit though, a separate entity?
It's
from
the
city?
Las Vegas Citizens Commission for Historic Preservation.
It's not a city.
I don't know
board.
exactly if it's a
I believe
board,
it's a separate.
and maybe a nonprofit with.
They came and
gives them more
presented to the
leeway.
commission. So yes, impressive and really quite amazing, all the work that they've done. Were you, I can't remember.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so-
was here when they
Yeah.
did.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've also looked at some other websites like Raton is a really good one. It has a lot of historical information. The Alamosa has a good one. Walsenburg even has a site through the state, but they have an updated site that has the list of all their commissioners and all their minutes and all their history. So I don't know. I feel like there's examples out there that we could maybe try to emulate. That's my report.
Alright. Well, Terry.
Well, actually, I think we talked about everything I was supposed to talk about already.
Let me double check my email.
The grant, Chris had asked about the grant right seeking, and we're gonna, Talitha, if you want me to set up a meeting with her, I can do so, whenever you guys are ready. I don't know if you wanna wait till after our work session and then set up an appointment with her.
Yeah, we probably need to make some planning stuff
Okay.
before we make any of that kind of decision.
Yeah, she said just let her know when we would like to request time with her, for any grants. And then, I will get the ordinances to you guys, for you guys, so that, cause I know Elizabeth Kelly wanted those. And, I think that was all of, the Kathy Williams
Yeah.
Memorial. I did ask Audra about it. We cannot do a letter, because that is, you were right about that. We're not allowed to do that. So we can't give a letter for that. I don't know what decision they've made about the statue anyways, because they're gonna have to move the location, because it can't be on the right of way for the sidewalk. So they might have to move the location where they want it. So I think that might have put everything on hold, so I haven't heard from them since then.
What about them presenting to the city?
They haven't, like I said, they put everything, everything's gotten put on hold. They haven't presented.
Requesting a letter of support.
Yeah, the city could, the
Right.
city of Trinidad can at that point, but like she hasn't reached out to the city council or anything.
Did you communicated with Mel that we were not able to do that, is that right?
I have not yet. I wanted to tell you
I
guys first.
will, I had conversations with her, so,
Okay. Yeah,
I'll tell her that.
so that's it.
Alright, well, if anybody has anything else, I'll go ahead and move to adjourn. So,
Second.
alright.
Thanks.
Thank you.